What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Talking Niners podcast, part of the Blue Wire Hustle Network. I am your host, Kobe Ransom, and a more normal episode this time around. For those listeners who were a little confused the last 2 days, had the little different kind of upload, but we're back here with our co-host, our wonderful co-host, who is not feeling the best right now, but he is here at Niner Wire Sam. Sam, what's going on?
It's good, man. I have a bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit off today, that's why. But y'all are going to have to bear with me because the show must go on. Preseason starts 1 day from now. It's currently 3 o'clock on the West Coast when we're recording this. Game will be at 5:30, so less than 48 hours, man. I am so hyped for this game. Finally get to see Trey Lance on the field. And let's preview the game, man. Back to previews, back to pregame analysis. Let's frickin' frackin' do it, man.
Frickin' frackin'. I don't think that was the. I haven't heard that in a while. Also before we start, in case those are watching, like, hey, Kobe, what's with the shades? This is my visor. Bleacher Report put out a post with the visors on some certain quarterbacks. You might see one from my profile picture on Twitter. But I decided, hey, what if I were a visor, or at least the closest thing to a visor, on the show? And this is what you get: some glasses I use to cut the lawn.
Looking cute, man.
But yeah, let's get into it. Let's start with everyone's favorite topic, quarterbacks. We know that Jimmy Garoppolo will get one series on Saturday, which is likely today. If you're listening to this episode, actually no. Well, we'll just there tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, first preseason game, Jimmy G and the first team offense will get one series, and then Trey Lance will take over for the rest of the second half. Kyle Shanahan looking to give Trey Lance about 30 snaps. So we get to see a pretty good bit, basically half a game of Trey Lance on Saturday against the Chiefs, who we all know who they are and what they did to us back in 2019, early 2020, I guess you can say, Super Bowl 54. We don't have to talk about it. But, yeah, first time seeing the Chiefs on the field with the Niners since then. And for these quarterbacks, I mean, given that Jimmy Garoppolo, before we get into Trey Lance, obviously, because it's been probably a good deal talking about him, but just talking about Jimmy Garoppolo here for a second. Given he's only going to take one series, you can't really judge much because there's no telling how that series would go. And on top of that, it's preseason. It's not like it's going to be a scripted drive or it's going to be anything drawn up that's like crazy special or anything. It's going to be just some vanilla, regular old plays. So it could be a 3-and-out. They might get a field goal out of it. But wherever Jimmy does on offense, I won't put a whole lot of stock in because it's just one drive in the preseason game. So as far as Jimmy goes, he has nothing really to gain here. And seeing as how, he's only getting one series, I guess as of right now, it's evident that Jimmy Garoppolo is still very clearly QB1 at the moment.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, this really just says he's QB1. Starters are going to go in that one drive with him, and then all the stars are out, which is interesting. We'll get to that in a moment when we talk about Trey Lance, but Jimmy Garoppolo does not have to prove that much. He's going up against a first-team Chiefs defense with Chris Jones. You got guys like Frank Clark on that team. There's some good rookies on that team as well to keep an eye on. Nick Bolton, the linebackers. So there's a lot of guys you got to keep an eye on throughout this team for the Kansas City Chiefs going after Jimmy Garoppolo. But Jimmy Garoppolo does not have that much to prove. He's going to be behind all his starters. Like Jimmy Garoppolo will be week one, probably. It seems as if Jimmy Garoppolo will be the starter week one, considering how they're doing this preseason game. But usually if it's a quarterback competition, it would be 50-50 maybe in the first half, but it's one drive and then he's done. So this tells me right here that Jimmy Garoppolo should be the week one starter against the Detroit Lions, and we'll probably start out other games. Now, do I agree with that? I don't really know. Let's see how Trey Lance does during camp. And I think this would be a perfect time to segue into Trey Lance. And my thing with him is I want to see him perform. I really wish we could see him perform behind the first-team offensive line, because the second-team offensive line, you're looking at guys, Jalen Moore, rookie, very raw prospect, Colt McKivitz, not that great. I don't even know who the center is for the second-team offense. I think it's Dakota Shepley. And then you got, I don't know who's the starting left guard or right guard backup, whoever that is. And then Tom Compton is the right tackle backup. That is very rough. When you're going against one of the best defensive tackles in the league in Chris Jones, when you're going against Frank Clark, who has been a Pro Bowler in prior years, That is very scary to have Trey Lance stand behind that. And really, I don't necessarily know if we're going to get a good evaluation of Trey Lance from this game because of that. Maybe they'll put the starters in. I don't know. Maybe it's smoke. But in my opinion, I think Grant Cohn said it best. Andy Reid's really forcing the Niners to play their first team starters because he wants the Chiefs D, first team D out for the entire first quarter. If Trey Lance has to go in with the first team D against the second team offensive line, it could get real ugly real quick.
We'll see. Yeah, both coaches have a plan going in. I don't think they talked with each other before the game to decide who was doing what. So we'll see who sticks with the plan. We'll see if Shanahan, when he sees that Andy Reid is most definitely keeping the first team out there, if he'll maybe keep his first team out there a little longer. Or we'll see if maybe Andy Reid likes what he sees from the first team, takes him out after the first drive, and then that's that. But as far as, if they do, I guess, this is segueing into Trey Lance. If they do keep the second team offensive line out there against the Chiefs' first team defensive line, I guess we'll see Trey Lance in the move a lot. Because he's not going to be able to stay in his spot. You might even see a lot of runs in the first quarter too. If maybe Kyle sees that the second team defensive line, second team O-line's out there with the first team D-line for the Chiefs, maybe we see Shanahan stay a little more conservative, quick passes, some runs here and there. Maybe that's how he adjusts in game. But it's interesting, differing approach, seeing as how Andrew wants his team to play in the whole first quarter, and then Shanahan wants them to play one series, and then we're going to see that kind of mesh in the game. But we'll see if that stays true. But for Trey Lance, it's preseason. We saw Mac Jones play the other day, and we saw the internet go wild because of a couple of throws here and there. Even though it was just a simple, solid outing for Mac Jones, I thought it was. But it is preseason. You're not going to open up the whole playbook, so it's a more limited, more vanilla style of offense. So we won't see too much of the cool things that Trey Lance can do. We might see maybe a zone read or two in the game. We're going to see him escape the pocket a couple of times, maybe run for a first down here and there. But we're probably not going to see the full Trey Lance package come first game. We might not see a whole bunch of deep passes. It might be a lot more quick passes, not too many shots down the field. It could be a boring debut for Trey Lance. Wouldn't be surprised if it was. But for me, what I'm looking for is to see if he is cool, calm, and collected during this game. To see just what the vibe is from him and how he goes out there. Is he confident? Is he decisive? Is he holding on to the ball? Is he making too many mistakes? Just that kind of thing. So I'm seeing him go out there and just kind of, obviously get his feet wet. The first time that we all get to see him, we know people at camp got a chance to see him for a solid 2 weeks, but this is our first time getting to see him really live playing 11 on 11. We've seen clips here and there, but this is a chance for us to all evaluate our new franchise quarterback. And just from the first game, his first preseason game is preseason. There is no plan going in really as far as just like game planning and stuff like that. But just want to see him go out there, make a couple good throws, just be decisive and cool and calm. And that's really about it. And if he does more than that, then I guess that's when Twitter goes crazy.
Yeah, and you said it best. Just cool, calm, collective, be all that. It's preseason. So at the end of the day, like no one's gonna care who wins. No one's gonna care who lost. We're really all watching this to see how our guys do, get a good sense of what Trey Lance looks like against reading an NFL defense. That's the one thing I have in mind for Trey Lance, reading how he can read this NFL defense. The Chiefs do have a pretty good D. You got obviously Chris Jones. You had Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu on this defense. So pretty good D all around for the Kansas City Chiefs. Going up against those first team starters, it's going to be good for him to go up against those starters, see how he can pick apart this D if he can with the second team offense on the field. Could be a bit tough, but at the end of the day, I think the way he reads this defense is really going to just show where Trey Lance is. If he throws a few picks that are his fault or does something that's his fault, then that's unfortunate. But I have a feeling that Trey Lance is going to do a lot of stuff against this first team defense that he's forced into because of the offensive line, because of the receivers. But I don't know. Maybe the second team's a bit better than I'm expected. This is about Trey Lance. I feel like the real focus is how the second team is going to help Trey Lance, because that's what's really concerning me. The second team against Trey Lance. I don't necessarily know if we're going to get a good evaluation, but maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe Trey Lance is the guy for the 49ers, and maybe he can work with the second team real well.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if he goes out there and he's having his way with the Chiefs' first-team defense, with the Niners' second-team offense out there, and that really gets some, it starts to get people kind of brainstorming like, hey, okay, just how good is he? But, I mean, we'll see. We have no idea really what to expect. But if he is anything as he has been in camp, if he looks like the same guy, if he's efficient, and if he's decisive, and if he looks like he has command of the offense, as it sounds like he has so far in camp, then we'll know that what we haven't seen. I guess that's really the good way to sum it up. We want to see if the hype from camp is fake or not. That's really it. We want to see if he can bring what he's been doing in practice to the game. Because as I said in one of the most recent A Quick Word episodes was, watching the clips from the Levi Stadium practice where people could put up the 11-on-11 clips, there are a lot of situations where defensive linemen are breaking free and running right past, the quarterback because they can't touch him, and things like that. So we'll see when defensive linemen can come and hit the quarterback. We'll see how Trey Lance responds. Does he get panicky in the practice? Does he roll out the pocket too soon or too late? Is he, standing in too long, or how is he on the move? We'll get to see all that, and depending on how he looks, we'll see how crazy the timeline gets.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun game to see Trey Lance out there for the first time. That's really
most anticipated Niner preseason game in maybe how long? Maybe ever. I don't know.
Ever. I've got to be ever. I've never watched a 49ers preseason game just for the sake of it. Like, I am.
At least in my lifetime. I don't know what the 1990s and early 2000s were like, but at least for as long as I've been watching football, this is clearly the most anticipated preseason game for the Niners ever.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm the type of guy who doesn't really care about preseason. I'll just read stuff after. I don't necessarily need to see it for myself because it'll be out there after. But this is something I want to see for myself. I want to be the one evaluating. And people know me. I'm a diehard Niners fan. I would watch any 49ers game, but preseason never really gets me excited. This game is getting me excited.
All right, moving away from the quarterbacks, let's just move on to the offense as a whole. I'll let you start, Sam. As far as the offense goes, there's a lot of different ways you can look at this. But what do you want to see from either the skill positions, offensive line? What do you want to see from the offense?
Well, I think the one thing that I think you have to keep in mind with this offense is there's one group that is a lot more stacked than the other group all around, that is the wide receiver group. So I think looking at the wide receivers, Jalen Hurd will not play in this game. I know that's going to be rough, but he might make the roster. He might not. Well, he'll have to prove in practice, I guess. But the other receivers is going to be very interesting to watch because you have a ton of guys out there who I believe can be on roster spots. You have Brandon Ayuk, lock. Deebo Samuel, lock. You have Trent Sherfield, lock. Mohamed Sanu should be a lock. Probably will be a lock. He's been having a phenomenal camp. And then after that, you have a ton of guys. Jalen Hurd obviously not playing, but you got Jawan Jennings. You have Travis Benjamin. You have, what's his face? Richie James. You have other guys. River Craycraft. I'm blanking out on one guy. Who is it? Oh, God.
Is Sherfield yet?
We said Sherfield. Who's the other guy? Austin Watkins. There's so many guys on this roster that you can make this roster. And this preseason game is really going to set the tone for who's making this roster, who's not making this roster. And yeah, it's one preseason game. You got to evaluate for all the preseason games, but it'll get the guys who are not performing well and the guys who are being outperformed to step their game up for the next preseason game and create that competition. And Kobe, can you remind me when the day is to cut the roster down to 80? I think that's coming up pretty soon, right?
It's before the second preseason game, so yeah, very soon.
Before the second preseason game. So I would expect
it's August 17th.
August 17th. So that's coming up soon. Then, so I would expect maybe one of these receivers to get cut. And you have a loaded wide receiver room, but it's going to be really rough to see one of these guys go. So this first preseason game is going to be crucial for everyone. And even more crucial, I think you're going to see a lot of guys cut on this offensive line. You have the first team. After that, the first team offensive line, the difference from the first team to the second team is drastic. And I think a lot of these offensive line guys are going to be trying to prove themselves to say, hey, I want to be on this 53-man roster still. I still want to go in for that shot because I guarantee you there's going to be 4 or 5 guys on this offensive line that get cut. somewhere around there, maybe 3 at least. But it's going to be interesting to see what the offensive line can do going forward. You have the starters. Second team is really up in the air. There are guys on that second team offensive lineman who could very much easily be cut. So it's going to be interesting to see how they perform, especially when you're performing ahead to protect Trey Lance, the rookie quarterback, the future of the franchise. You got to do your job damn well. And if you're not going to do your job, you're going to get cut. That simple.
Right. And before we go any further, I'll just put this out here for people who don't know. August 17th, teams will have to reduce the roster to 85. August 24th, they reduce the roster to 80. And then August 31st, they'll make the cut down to 53. So just so everyone knows all the dates. And there's only 3 preseason games this year. So you don't get the 4th preseason game where players that are on the fringe all get to play, heavy snaps. So teams won't get that. It seems like week 3 will continue to remain as the dress rehearsal game. So a lot of these fringe guys who are looking to make rosters won't get that last game to really get extended playing time to make a difference or make an impact. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, as far as what I want to see from the rest of the offense, just a couple of players I'm focused on. Number 1 is Trent Sherfield, because obviously we know wide receiver 3 is currently up for grabs. We heard that Sanu had the lead pretty early, and then Trent Sherfield put his name in the mix, and now it's been the Sherfield-Sanu kind of battle for wide receiver 3. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure they'll probably both get play time if they're both good. They'll both kind of rotate probably, but just as far as who probably gets more snaps than the other, let's see if it's real. Let's see if Trent Sherfield is actually impressing. If he actually has maybe some hidden talent that he couldn't unleash with the Cardinals, and let's see that. Another thing is I want to see Aaron Banks, how he looks on Saturday, because Aaron Banks, obviously, second round pick, and we know what the Niners corner situation is. And you're thinking second round, you can kind of get there's some corners in the second round that you probably could have taken a chance on and got that may have performed better early on. Then we'll get to the defense later, but maybe guys like Ambry Thomas and Deommodore Lenoir. But obviously, taking Aaron Banks second round, we know there's a learning curve with offensive linemen. It takes a while, just adjusting to game speed and the overall talent you have to play against in the line versus what you have to play against in college. But he struggled to start camp, and we'll see if those struggles continue or if he's improved a little since practice. We know that defensive line for the Niners is ferocious and very, very deep. So maybe it's possibly just because he was against people who are just well above where he is at right now, and maybe he'll look better playing against guys who are more on his level. I don't know how deep the Chiefs line is, but don't think it's anywhere as deep as the Niners, of course. So we'll see how Aaron Banks possibly he can kind of gain a little bit from this game. Maybe he'll be slightly improved, or maybe just a lot for him to learn. Just kind of get a look at where he's at. Another player.
Can I just say real quick? Aaron Banks was the guy I was thinking when I was blanking on the right guard name. It was Aaron Banks, who's the second team guard.
Yeah, and obviously I know for you, Sam, you thought he would go in and he'd be the starting right guard, and we hear that he's been struggling. So it'll be interesting to see how he looks out there in the preseason. Another player would be really just all the other backs. Trey Sermon, Wayne Gallman, and then I really want to see Elijah Mitchell, because I think we kind of know that Sermon is going to be on the roster. We know he's pretty good, but Elijah Mitchell is a guy who I didn't really watch, didn't really know about during the whole draft process. So to see him, I heard he's had some days in camp, especially as a receiver for the Niners. So we'll see how he looks out there. Niners have a very deep backfield, even without Jeff Wilson, who's out for the first 6 weeks of the season. So we'll see how that running back room is. And obviously, no Jalen Hurd, but I want to see Juwan Jennings. I know he had a good OTA period. He came back, had some good practices. So let's see if Juwan Jennings has anything as well to offer for receiver.
Yeah, and I want to put out one more guy. First of all, actually, I'll talk about Aaron Banks a little bit. I think you definitely want to see Aaron Banks, because I thought personally he was going to be the starting right guard. That's what you usually get when you take a guy in the second round, a starter. But it seems like Daniel Brunskill is winning the competition. It'll be interesting to see how Aaron Banks does. I've heard he's been struggling some days. Other days he hasn't. Going up against a first-team Chiefs defensive line, I think that would be a very good match for him. The other guy I want to talk about really quick, Ross Dwelley. He's been having a phenomenal camp. I want to see him on the field more in that receiver role. It seems like they're giving that more receiver role to him. And I also kind of want to see, adding on that note, I want to see this 2 tight end set work out because it's been something that we've wanted to implement in our offense, but we haven't been able to because of injuries. And now we have healthy Kittle. We have a healthy Ross Dwelley. Jordan Matthews can do something there. It could work out really well. So I think the 2 tight end set will be something very interesting to watch during this draft. Not this draft, during this preseason game against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. I want to see Michael. I know we only get one drive, but I want to see Michael McGlinchey a little bit. Obviously he got bigger. I want to see how he holds up in pass protection. Obviously, on this first drive, because we know last year wasn't great for him. But with one series, I mean, we'll see if we stayed out there longer than one series. If the Chiefs keep their first team defense out there, but I do want to see McGlinchey a little bit, and obviously Alex Mack and see how he performs with the line. Because center was an issue for us last year, as well as right guard at times. So just that interior offensive line with the starters, maybe that first drive playing against the first team defense of the Chiefs. So we'll see how they look. Moving on to defense, and I'll let you start again here, Sam, on defense. Who is it you're looking for? What are you looking for from this defense when the game starts?
Really the defensive tackles. That's really the biggest battle in camp, in my opinion, even bigger than quarterback, because I think Kyle Shanahan's been saying that quarterback, it's locked up. The defensive tackle depth is massive right now. I mean, it's just there's so many defensive tackles. That's the wrong word. But looking at the 49ers list of defensive tackles, Eric Armstead can be a defensive tackle. You got Darion Daniels. You have Kevin Givens, Maurice Hurst, DJ Jones, Zach Kerr, Contavious Street, Javon Kinlaw. That's all the defense tackles there are. But that's what's his face? Alex Berra is another defensive tackle that I forgot to say. But that defensive tackle depth is stacked. And I don't think you can keep any more than 6 defensive tackles on this team. And I think the guys, it's between 6 guys, 7 guys, excuse me. One of them is going to get caught between Armstead, Kinlaw. You have Kevin Givens, Mo Hurst, DJ Jones, Zach Kerr, and Contavious Street. You got some locks in there, but I think the real battle, I keep digging deeper, but Mo Hurst, Kevin Givens, and Zach Kerr, those are the 3 guys that you really got to look at this game, because those 3 are going for a roster spot, and one of them is not going to get it. And one of them, honestly, you could trade them for a draft pick if they keep impressing. If all of them keep impressing, exceeding expectations, you might be able to get like a 6th or a 7th from them. We don't have our 6th this year, so that'll be massive. So that defensive tackle depth is something that you have to keep an eye on during this training camp. The other thing, I think this is kind of obvious. I didn't want to talk about it too much, but cornerbacks, I mean, it's the weakest position on our team. Jason Verrett has been balling out during camp. Emmanuel Mosley, I'm really excited to see him. He's been good since he got back from the COVID list. And after that, you really got to look at the rookies to really step it up. Ambry Thomas, Deommodore Lenoir. Let's see what they can do. Those 2 are guys who are going to make this roster probably, but let's see what the future holds for them. I think this game will be able to show that real quick. I mean, even though it's a second-team Chiefs, the offense of the Chiefs is dynamic all around, so you could get a very good glimpse at Deommodore Lenoir or Ambry Thomas. So I think those are 2 guys to watch in the secondary, but the cornerback room overall is just a good room to watch.
Yeah, that's really it for defense. What you want to see is just how the other corners are doing. Ambry Thomas, Lenoir, obviously, and then you have guys like Ken Webster, who's also played at outside with the first team at times. And we know Mosley's back, and he's been performing well so far in camp. So you don't have to worry too much about cornerback 2 right now, because Mosley came back and he's playing well. But yeah, I do want to see how Ambry Thomas is doing, if he's doing better than he was in camp. Deommodore Lenoir, of course, he had a couple of good practices. He was doing better than Thomas to start. We'll see how he's doing now. And then at safety, we get to see I kind of want to see Tavon Wilson. I don't know how often he'll play, but I heard he's been fantastic at strong safety playing with.
He should be the starter with Jaquaski Tart probably going to start the year on PUP. He should be the starting strong safety week 1, and he'll get first team reps.
He likely is going to be the starter. He's had that on lock for the most part since Tart has been out. So we'll get to see him play some snaps. We'll see. I know that some teams, the games yesterday, they had their first team defense out there for longer than 1 drive. So we'll see how long the Niners keep theirs out there. And get to see Talanoa Hufanga, obviously, with the second team, most likely. We're going to see how he had a couple good practices with the first team when Ward had a veteran day. So we'll see how he looks out there. We know he's a guy who's putting a lot of work in the offseason. He's been first guy out, one of the last guys to leave during training camp. So we'll see how he looks out there on the field. We'll see Marcel Harris at linebacker a little bit.
I was going to talk about Marcel Harris real quick. I think I'm really excited to see how the 49ers use Marcel Harris because he's played safety in the past. This year, he's got all his reps at linebacker. It's going to be interesting. We've never really seen this with the 49ers before with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. It's going to be interesting, or D'Amico Ryans, I should say, not John Lynch. It's going to be interesting to see how they use Marcel Harris. I think that's going to be something that you should see. He'll get second-team reps, I would assume, but I think that's something that's really fascinating to see how they're going to use Marcel Harris. Is he going to be more of a Jamal Adams blitz boy guy? Is he going to be more of a safety role, or is he going to be more of a coverage linebacker? Going to be interesting to see what Marcel Harris can do for the 49ers.
Yeah, we haven't really heard too much about him at linebacker from camp, but we just know he has been playing linebacker, so we'll finally get to see kind of what he's been doing. And yeah, I guess we can also see the edge depth outside of Nick Bosa and D Ford to see how they're looking. Guys like Ebukam and Arden Key and guys like that, and see how they're doing. Really just evaluating how good the depth is for the Niners, because if their depth is really good, they might dominate this game as far as the second team of the Chiefs, because this second team D-line is as good as it has sounded in camp. They might, obviously overpower the Chiefs second team when they come out, and it'll be just domination for the Niners for most of the game. So we'll see how true the reports have been from camp. And that's really what a lot of this is, taking the reports we've seen from camp and then kind of just like watching out for it during the game to see if it's really something that is materializing or if it's something that was just kind of like a practice event, or whatever you want to call it. Just something, we have players who are good in practice and aren't great in the games, players who are great in the games and not great in practice. So this is a chance to kind of, separate the two and see who is consistent with both or who is good in one setting or the other. So,
yeah, and one more guy I'll just point out real quick. Jonas Griffith has been picking up a little bit of steam at camp from some people. Other people have been saying he's making no difference whatsoever. This guy's for sure going to get cut. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Niners are going to do with him. Or that's actually the bad way to phrase it, what he can do for the 49ers. Because I think the Niners are probably going to put him on the practice squad or get him cut. I think that's probably what's going to happen. But he has been picking up steam according to some people. According to others, he hasn't. So we'll have to see what he can do. And I think there could be a battle between him and Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles. Both are guys who can play special teams, have similar roles on the team. I'm not really sure, but I think that might be an interesting battle to watch. Both guys should get second team reps, I would assume.
And I guess we'll see if Ayuk gets any punt returns in this game, because I know he was listed as the starting punt returner for the Niners. So we'll see. Maybe he gets one, and maybe he gets to run in. We'll see how he looks out there with the return team. But on special teams, is there really anything we're looking for? I don't think so.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to seeing Tabor Pepper out there. I love that guy, man. That is the greatest long snapper of all time. I thought you were gonna avoid special teams and disrespect him. No, man.
I mean, I know I didn't put in the notes today, but I was like, I guess we can talk about it. I don't know. I just want to see Robbie go hit all his field goals. That's it.
Yeah, and if I'm keeping it real, I think we should also look at just. I kind of want to see what the first team special teams unit is like. I mean, if that's even a thing, I don't really know. But going to be interesting to see. Yeah, going to be interesting to see who the specialists are that are going to be out there on the kicks and the punts. I think that's just. I don't really know who is going to be that, but I think you'll be able to see that obviously in this game when we have a punt or a kickoff or something like that. You'll be able to see who's out there, see those specialists, and we'll get a good look at those guys.
All right, and that will just about conclude our preview of Niners' first preseason game. The camps, at least the open practice at the SAP training facility, whatever you call it, thing is over. Next week, the Niners will have joint practices with the Chargers down in LA. So, or is it out? Is it down in LA? Is that where they're going?
It's somewhere down there. I think they said it was like Chula Vista. I don't even know. Somewhere, I don't know.
Somewhere down there in Southern California. Yeah. So Niners, as far as being able to go to a training camp and see them play, that was basically the last time you get to see it. You get to see some practices down there with the joint practices with the Chargers, but by the time they come back to Santa Clara to practice, they will be closed practices that the media nor fans can see. So, yeah, training camp as far as getting the coverage and be able to see and get detailed reports is essentially kind of over. And now it's time for preseason games, and that's going to be taking the center stage here. So we'll see that on Saturday. I cannot wait. It's been so long since we've seen the Niners on the field on TV. We didn't have preseason last year. We got it this year. And, I'm not going to take it for granted this time. I watched both of the games yesterday. I watched the Hall of Fame game. I'm going to watch all the games this weekend, just trying to soak in as much football as possible because, man, I missed it. I feel like it's been forever.
Football is back, baby.
Football is back. There's football on my TV. I said this yesterday, but preseason, I kind of appreciate it a little bit because they got games on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So all weekend long, we got football. And next week will be even more fun because the starters will get even more snaps. And then the third game will be almost like a regular season game until the second half. So,
and speaking of football being back, we are less than a month away from week 1.
Oh my God, that's the best. That's the best part.
That just gives you chills right there.
Yeah, it's almost time for meaningful football. It's the preseason. There's a 1 week break in between preseason and regular season, and then we're into it. We're going to have football every week until the third week of February.
Is that how late the Super Bowl is this year?
Yeah, so I looked at the schedule.
Okay, damn.
I looked at the schedule, and I was like, wait, there's a break in between, the third preseason game and the first regular season game. It's like, okay, so
that's always been the case, though. Oh, wait, no.
It was
that hasn't been the case. You're right.
Yeah, you didn't usually get a break. You had the fourth preseason game.
You have the fourth preseason game on like a Thursday, and then the cut days on Saturday. You're right.
Yep. So you get a bye week essentially before the first regular season game, and they basically just extended the schedule. I thought they were going to like push the first week into August for the regular season, but they didn't. They just pushed the Super Bowl a week back essentially to add in the extra game. So the second week of February is the last week of football, which normally isn't the case.
Interesting.
So that's different. But yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Obviously, we will be back here. I'll probably put up some quick words throughout the week. But we're going to have a special guest on Wednesday that I'm sure a lot of you should know who he is. I won't say who he is, but it is a he. So you get that clue. Yeah, we'll have a very special guest for you guys on Wednesday. So make sure you guys are tuning in. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Anywhere else, make sure you hit the follow or subscribe button and turn on notifications so you know whenever a new episode drops. We have been seeing at least I've been seeing, I haven't showed Sam yet, but I've been seeing the increased numbers of people listening to the show. We appreciate all of the new listeners. Thank you for coming along on this wonderful, wonderful ride. That's going to be this 49ers 2021-2022 season. We're going to have a great time. We're going to provide some very fun analysis for you guys and hope you guys are enjoying. And yeah, that'll do it for us. I can't do the outro because Stan went away. But again,
I went away. I had to blow my nose. You guys don't want to see me blowing my nose. It's disgusting.
All right, now he's back. Now I can do the outro. As always, go Niners.
See ya. Follow us on Twitter too. You didn't say that.
Oh yeah. You know what? Actually, okay. Wait, we're back. No, see ya. Come back. Follow us on Twitter at Talk Niners Pod on Twitter and at Cooper 49GM at Niner Wire Sam on the screen in the description. All right. As always, go Niners.
Football is back.
See ya.